Hey there, it's Maury, traveling solo, and wanted to put together another quick video. This is just a quick introduction to what we're talking about today. Um, as I've mentioned in my other videos, this is all pretty new to me. I'm a novice to RVing and did a lot of research, watched a lot of videos. There's a lot of great resources about Class Bs and the Hymer Aktiv. I have the Hymer Aktiv 1.0. Which I purchased the end of August. And I'm currently planning my first real trip. I did an overnight to Prescott, Arizona, just to get a feel for how it runs in a real world situation, and planning a West Coast trip, probably out to Los Angeles and then up to Washington State and everywhere in between. Just kind of meander and find my way up there. But in my research, there have been some things that I've discovered that weren't available. It's interesting how much you learn after you actually get your hands on the rig, no matter how much research you've done. All of the videos and all of the tutorials, all of the reviews, discussions, and then seeing them in person. Once you get it, there's still a lot that you don't know about what you just bought. Today we're talking about the undercarriage. Having done a lot of off-roading, I was looking for ways to gain a little bit of ground clearance. These things ride pretty low, and came across the Sumo Springs for the rear and the front. Actually, my rear Sumo Springs just arrived. I did not get the fronts. I'm not a big fan of the coil spring inserts, so I'm going to see how the rear ones do. They're supposed to give about an inch of clearance in the back, and that might be enough, since a lot of the sensitive systems are in the back anyway. That might be enough to make me feel a little better about it. But while I was researching that, I ended up getting up underneath the rig to see where they would go for myself, and I was taken aback by just how much is exposed underneath. Now in the front, I knew that the underhood generator is, it's pretty exposed, and there's a plastic shroud that goes over it just for basic protection. But it's hanging low, and if you came up on a parking block or something that was higher than normal, or a sidewalk, you could take it off if you weren't paying attention. But the further back you go, you notice that the water tank is down there, the lithium batteries are mounted underneath there, piping and electronics are all fairly open. And so this video is to show what's underneath, because in all of the stuff that I watched, I didn't see anything about that. Now, it probably wouldn't have changed my decision. I would have understood that it's just kind of how it is, but I could have at least started planning for what to do about it while I was in the research phase. So, and this isn't to say that I don't love the camper. I love the Hymer. I am very pleased with it. I'm impressed with the electronics and the functionality of it all. It's a great rig, and I'm happy and pleased with it, and I'm looking forward to getting out on the road in it for the first time. But these are the kinds of things that I think everyone needs to be aware of. And so don't take this as a complaint video. This is more of just an educational thing to say, this is what it looks like underneath, in case you're wondering. And this is why you have to be careful when you're camping, to make sure that you don't end up in a situation where you don't have enough ground clearance and you end up damaging some systems in the middle of nowhere. That would be a real problem. So the next piece of this video will be the underside of the Hymer and just some notes, and then I'll point out where the Sumo Springs go also, since I'll be up underneath there. So here we go. Okay, so we are getting underneath my Hymer Aktiv. It's extremely warm today, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time out here, but we're starting in the front, and in the front you can see the underhood generator, which people always ask about. What is it? Where is it? Well, there it is. It's just another large alternator, and that charges the coach batteries. And you can see, even from this angle, how little ground clearance we have. You can also see that I'm missing the shroud for the underhood generator. There's the mounting points for it though, so there clearly was one here, and it was removed. We're not exactly sure why. I bought this from La Mesa RV, and it was missing. I don't know if it was damaged in transit or if they borrowed it for another unit, but they have a replacement on order for it. But here's the, so this is the underhood generator. You can see the massive cables that run back to the lithium battery packs. And then you can see the steps, that silver box there, and over there, those are the retracting steps that were added on. And there's another one behind that one for the side door as well. Now let's go to the back. Okay, so here we are at the back of the rig. Got the trailer hitch, spare tire, bumper. And immediately behind the hitch and the bumper, you'll find the freshwater tank. Nice metal frame supporting it for protection and also to support the weight of the water when your tank is full. Off in the distance, however, you can see that the drain valve extends below the line of the suspension, the cross member there. That's a concern. You know, it would be really easy to run over something on the highway, have that get yanked off, and never even know it, and arrive at your destination not only with an empty water tank, but being unable to put water in it until you've had an opportunity to correct that. So that's a problem. You know, I'll have to do something about that. Those are single-use hose clamps. I'll have to repipe it. Up underneath here, up on the frame, you see the bump stops for the suspension. That's actually the part that gets replaced by the Sumo Springs. You just jack the vehicle up, knock that loose, and then the Sumo Springs screw into their place. It's more a matter of having the room to do it, not that it's a difficult job. There's not a lot of space to get your hands up in there and tools and stuff. Installing them doesn't take any tools, they hand tighten. And you can see the wiring going back. There's a nice heavy ground cable and the wiring going to the battery chassis. But you can see that, you know, there's not a lot of space between the ground and the suspension. And, you know, while the water tank is above the suspension line, it is still exposed to something if you're in reverse. So if you clear something with the bumper, the next target is your water tank, and it's plastic, and it could get punctured, you know, very easily. So again, you have to be aware of your rig, you know, the limitations and the edges. Where does it stop? Where does it start? If you're backing up or pulling forward, because up in front, you know, if you pull too forward, you're gonna nail that underhood generator. I've thought about putting some curb feelers on this just to make sure, but, you know, going in reverse or going forward, there are things that you could very easily damage and, you know, ruin your day. If we go to the other side real quick, you'll see some of the additional piping. It's all exposed, you know, that's why they say this is not a winter safe or all-season rig. It has exposed plastic piping, and with those smaller diameter pipes, if you're in a freezing climate or in, you know, any place where it's below freezing for any length of time, those small pipes with the little bit of water that they have inside them will freeze fairly quickly, and those PEX pipes will split, and once again you have a bad day. So just be aware of where you are, the temperature, you know, and if you're storing it, be sure you winterize, and there are instructions for that in the forums. But that's definitely, you know, something else to consider when you look underneath here and you see just how much is open to the elements. Thought I would get one more angle. And there you can see back there the wiring going into the battery chassis. And you know, there's a significant amount of room underneath here for other things. I mean, there's a big wide open space underneath the floor pan. I don't know why they didn't make use of that. Maybe it just wasn't feasible, but it's a shame that they didn't tuck something up into that space, because that would be ideal. Even though it's behind the exhaust, the muffler here, you know, maybe it was heat related, although they could have put a heat shield in or something. But there's you know, like I said, there's just a lot going on underneath here that is easy to damage, so you really want to be careful. And you know, this is all stuff that that I didn't see online anywhere, and that's why I'm sharing it with you now. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I mean, there's not really a whole lot you could do about this. You know, it is what it is. The van is the van, and it's not built to have, you know, 10 inches of ground clearance. But you should still be aware of what you're working with and plan accordingly. Well, there you have it. Sorry if those shots were kind of long and boring. I know that it was just me talking over shots of the underside of the van, but you know, I think it's important to be able to see that. I know that when I was looking, I didn't see anything about, you know, the components underneath. I would have done a better job of taking my time and getting better shots of the underside, but as you can see, it's very sunny. There's no shade in sight, and it's 105 degrees. So you know, I'm just gonna leave it at that. But if you have any questions or specific things that you want more information on, I'm happy to be interactive here, and just post them in the comments below. If there's something you want to see, I'll video it for you and you know, share any information that I might have, and I'm happy to help. Till next time, have a great day.